If you're intrigued by the mysteries of the unknown, you can investigate thousands on Discovery Plus. With exclusive originals and a scary big collection of favorites, Discovery Plus is the streaming home of paranormal classics like Ghost Adventures and Ghost Brothers, plus new originals like Amityville Horror House. Uncover hidden secrets and explore otherworldly realms for just $4.99. Discovery Plus is the streaming home of paranormal, plus so much more. Start your free trial.
Look, staying healthy isn't easy. Watching your diet, hitting the gym, avoiding stress. But a good night's rest helps boost your overall health and wellness. And it couldn't be easier. The new Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed is the only bed that effortlessly adjusts and responds to both of you. The result? You wake up ready for anything. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. During our summer sale, save up to $500 on select Sleep Number 360 Smart Beds, plus special financing, only for a limited time. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
Really? Can you feel the tension in the air right now? I know I can. I can feel it all the way down in my plums.
You're tuned in to the FF Face-Off. Here, ready to drop the elbow on your competition, is Mike and Anthony. Ooh, yeah, dig it?
New world order.
To the greatest, yeah, the FF Face-Off.
All right. Welcome back, folks, to the FF Face-Off. This is a podcast proudly brought to you by Underdog Fantasy.
Ladies and gentlemen, the best in the world!
Where Anthony is keeping it in uniform. I'm probably going to give Anthony a complex soon, but that's okay. Welcome, everybody. Yes, this is the FF Face-Off. This is your one-stop shop. We've got fantasy, NFL, sports betting, everything you want to immerse yourself in that's related to football. You've come to the right place. So thank you for tuning in. Today, we're going to be going over a little bit of fantasy football bus. A couple episodes ago, we talked about some sleepers, some people not to miss. These are guys that were saying maybe at their current price you might like to miss. So stay tuned for all that. Of course, you can check out all this content and more at fffaceoff.com, our new home away from home, which is this lovely podcast where we welcome you guys. My name is Michael Hoff. You can follow me on Twitter at the FF Realist. My partner in crime, he did not disappoint. He's wearing an FF Face-Off blue t-shirt. Looks phenomenal, though. You can get it at Viridian Global, along with some of their other terrific merch. His name is Anthony Servino, and he can be followed at The Real NFL Guru. Anthony, how is by you on this Friday?
Like, I'm doing awesome today. I feel really, really good. Happy to be here. It's a little bit earlier than our normal 5:30-ish time slot, but I'm happy to be here.
True. And I'm noticing that the top of the thing is cutting off my head, so I look like I'm, like, bald. I look like a little Lex Luthor style, but whatever. It's fine. I got hair. It looks fine. Looks wonderful. Anyway, so, yeah, we're going to be going into some sleepers today. That should be a grand old time. Anthony, you played a sound drop. Bus, I'm sorry. I'm my head's on our last episode. That's why I'm thinking. On Monday, we did a sleeper show.
Right.
And you played a sound drop. I think when I said we were going to discuss sleepers, and I don't know what the hell that sound was.
What did it sound like?
It sounded like a horn. It sounded like a car horn.
It could have been. It could have been just a general alarm.
Okay.
I do have an alarm.
Just saying. I was, I like to go on walks now. I'm trying to get a lot of steps in, yada yada. So I played our old episode. I played some of your episode that you had on with Jim, which you guys could check out. That's on every Wednesday. And I noticed that sound drop, so I had to ask you. So nothing like asking you right on the spot. So anyway, all right.
Well, I just played it again. So if it's that one, when you go back and listen to it, you let me know.
Well, now I see. Look, now you're just giving me a reason to listen, and we're giving folks a reason to go back into our archives and listen to past episodes. Good times, double.
We should do a giveaway for sound drops. Do like a weird, like we like can pick a sound drop and
done. Okay, let's make it work. There you go.
Got to start doing giveaways more.
Well, we shall. I got a couple signed jerseys we can give away, so we can do that. I will remind you guys that the FF Faceoff Mental Health Podathon is coming up. If you're looking for more information, go to fffaceoff.com. There is a link there that talks about the Podathon. Soon we'll start getting guests and time slots up there. But there's also a link for you to donate to help out the Hayden Hurst Family Foundation. That's where every dime raised for this Podathon will go to. So be sure to check that out. It's going to go towards helping youth, military, and others in need regarding their mental health, education, and wellness. So, I mean, seems like something that ought to be supported. So feel free to tune in to fffaceoff.com, check out that info, and also feel free to tune in Friday, July 9th at 8 p.m. as we embark on a 24-hour mission from God to raise a whole hell of a lot of money. There you go. How's that sound, Anthony?
Fantastic.
Beautiful. All right. I want to ask you a quick question.
Right.
Get into, some busts. And again, these busts are going to come from all different positions. We're just going to handpick a couple. Some may jump in. If you have a question about a player you think's a bust or whatever, throw it in the chat. We'll answer it. Julio Jones, I want to ask you really quick. Not that I'm saying he's a bust. He's certainly not. I've been looking at his ADP. It hasn't really moved a whole hell of a lot since the trade.
Right.
I think it's only moved about 2 spots. Right now is back end of the 3rd round. Are you still comfortable in a new change of scenery? Because you're a guy who, obviously we play in enough leagues where, you're the starting draft can start off differently. But you generally like to go running back. Are you a guy who's okay with Julio Jones being your first wide receiver now that he is on a new team?
Would I be okay with it if I knew his health status was going to be okay? If I knew Julio Jones was going to give me like 14 to 15, where, because it's the extra game. So let's say 14 or 15 Julio Jones of old games. I'm not saying Julio Jones in his 20s, but Julio Jones late 20s where he's still popping here and there, but solid and consistent every week, double-digit points in PPR, yes. If it's going to be like it was last year, no.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it's more about health than production. Because this Titans defense is going to be so bad, they're going to be throwing a lot more than people think.
Not enough to really hurt Derrick Henry, though. I still think Derrick Henry leads the league in carries.
I mean, and Ryan Tannehill, this is a guy who throws for 34 touchdowns last year in 16 games. He had 22 in 2019 after taking over for Marcus Mariota. So, yeah, there's definitely something here in this passing attack.
Okay.
He threw 34 touchdowns last year. And they were 30th in team pass plays per game. This is a running team where your starting quarterback threw 34. I'll keep saying that number over and over again. To Jonnu Smith, 30. A.J. Brown, Corey Davis, Anthony Ferksker. You put Julio Jones in this mix now.
Well, let's put it to you this way. Quick, because you already explained it. I always say that, we're in a lot of leagues, so you can kind of do whatever, blah, blah, blah. What's your most important league that you're in? Do you have a home league yet, Anthony? What's your most important league? Is it probably SFB?
It's up there because of the prestige. But usually whatever high stakes league, because I started doing them now, the more money, the more damn important.
Okay. So the highest stakes league that you're in, the top of the line, are you taking Julio Jones as your first wide receiver? And not this, if you could tell me he's going to be held, because I can't tell you that. And there's no disclaimer when you draft said player. He's going to play 16 games. Like, they can't tell you that. So would you take him as your first wide receiver in your most important league?
Oof. Oh, man. I think I would.
Okay.
I think I would.
Because I'm just looking at this here. If you go running back, again, this is on the idea that you're going running back. Because right now, Julio Jones is, again, like I said, back end of the third round. Other wide receivers over there towards the back end of the third, early fourth. You're looking at Allen Robinson, Julio Jones, Terry McLaurin, then dip into the fourth round here for just two players, Mike Evans, Amari Cooper.
Yeah, see,
also Chris Godwin. I lied. I'll throw one more.
You see, it's like, yeah, I think I would take over those guys. Now,
Okay.
Allen Robinson presents a little bit of a tougher case. McLaren, I can certainly see a world where I do that. The Cowboys receivers, there is a world where I take the Cowboys receivers certainly over Mike Evans.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm only speaking to Julio Jones now specifically, but yeah. And besides, what I would do is I would take Julio Jones and I would grab CD Lamb later because CD Lamb's going to be the number one wide receiver for the Cowboys. I keep telling people that. Eventually they'll listen. So that's it for that. All right, Anthony, with that being said, it's promo time. Hit the music.
Hold on.
I always wanted to say that as he fumbles for the music button. Did he hit the music? Is music
No,
playing?
now it's going.
Oh, it's going. Fantastic. All right, listen. I'm not sure which wonderful sound drop is playing right now, but you guys need to download Tavour, Tavour. If you're listening to us right now in podcast format, that's beautiful, because then you could just take out your phone while you're listening to my soft tones and download Tavour today. Either way, take a look at the app. It's free to download. What it is, it's a beer delivery service. That's right. They will ship beer to your home. Now, I'm not talking about Schaefer's, Milwaukee Best, Pabst Blue Ribbon. No. I'm talking about some of the finest IPAs that states have to offer. There are states from Chicago to, there's California's in there. Everywhere across the United States. And they give you the description of the beer, alcohol content, the ingredients, if it's a sour beer, if it's not a sour, if it's a stout, if it's not a stout. Everything a beer drinker could hope for. So download the app today. It's free to download. You fill up this box with as many or as few beers as you want. Have it shipped to your home. When you use the promo code FACEOFF, FACEOFF, you spend $25 or more, you will get $10 off. It is fantastic. I love it. I enjoy getting my beers, and I enjoy getting beers that I know I'm gonna like. It's not some stupid beer of the month club where they send you gross beers you don't want, and then you gotta dump them down the sink. Then your wife's gonna yell at you that you're using too much room in the fridge. Nope, you get the ones you want. You drink them, enjoy the face-off. Download Tavour today, Tavour. Thank me later. There you go, Anthony. That being said, anything to say before we get into some bust?
Well, I want to bring up a little bit of news, and it's news to me.
Actually, I'll say this. Anthony, I'm sure that this is what he's going to say, but I did want to say, Anthony thinks that the Jets might have stumbled upon something that could be rather beneficial that might go below the radar of the average football or fantasy fan. Is that correct, Anthony?
Yeah, absolutely. And this has to do with a report that I'm seeing on Morgan Moses. And Morgan Moses was a part of that, I was almost at Redskins, that Washington football team line last year that Pro Football Focus graded out as the sixth best in the NFL at the conclusion of last year. A few weeks ago, they released their right tackle, Morgan Moses. And it was surprising. He had a big-time year. Pro Football Focus's sixth graded run blocking right tackle, exceptional pass blocker, although he could have used a little bit of work there. But now this Morgan Moses, he's going to the New York Jets. He's likely to sign with the New York Jets. Currently, George Fant is a starting right tackle, but he was all banged up last year, below average grades across the board at Pro Football Focus. Morgan Moses, if he signs with the Jets, he will be the week one starter, and I've been bullish on the left side of that New York line. They had Ali Vera Tucker this year in the first round, a top 16 pick. Last year, they go with Becton, top 15 pick. So that left side's going to be outstanding. Now this right side could see a significant improvement going into the season. I would watch out for this Jets offense overall, and especially in fantasy football. They are all cheap. They are all dirt cheap. This entire Jets offense, you can get dirt cheap, and they could potentially pop. The defense is a work in progress. I know it'll improve with Salah there, but it's not going to be an overnight thing. There's going to be a lot of throwing of the football. In New York, more Crowder. I'm out on Mims until I see him do it. But even a guy like Keelan Cole, flying under the radar, coming over from Jacksonville, he flashed a little bit. Michael Carter at running back. I'm starting to like what they're doing. And I've been, Mike, it before you go. I've been on the Joe Douglas bandwagon since they signed him to be their general manager.
Yes, you have, and I have been right behind you with that, in full support as well. But yes, it's true. You're mentioning all the players around the Jets or around the offense. Yeah, listen, no Jet player is going to be mentioned on this show today as being a bust because, like Anthony said, they're all flying below the radar. They're all cheap. You could have any one of them. You can have your pick of the litter. You're mentioning all these offensive pieces, though, Anthony. What about Zach Wilson, the player who will be distributing the ball to said players? Is there any hope for Zach Wilson for fantasy in year one? Because, Dynasty, yes, you're going to pick up someone like Zach Wilson and, you stash him. Hopefully you don't need him right away. Redraft. Are you taking him in any sort of league? This is likely probably a 2-quarterback league question, unless you're playing in, God knows how many. Yeah, so unless you're playing in a 1-quarterback league that's got like 20 teams, you're probably not taking Zach Wilson, but. Yeah, what's your thoughts for fantasy?
In the Super Flex League,
right?
And let's take Dynasty out because in Dynasty there's rookie drafts and the values of even a Kellen Mond is going earlier and then it's a weak rookie draft and a guy like Mond could see the field in the future. Right. So let's say in a Super Flex draft redraft, I would prefer Zach Wilson as my QB3. But would I feel just as comfortable going into this year with Zach Wilson as I would with Daniel Jones? I mean, why can't I say yes to that? What has Daniel Jones shown me that I can't say, you know what? I'll feel just as comfortable with one as I will with the other.
Okay. How comfortable is that, though?
Not a preference.
Okay. Got it. That's what I wanted to hear. Okay. That's good. That's fine. Wonderful.
But, isn't it weird? Isn't it strange? With all of the hype rookie quarterbacks get, nobody's saying a word. I feel like outside of New York media, Wilson's flying under the radar. Everybody else is getting attention. Isn't Wilson like normally New York, the Jets, Broadway Joe, all of this? And he's getting zero attention. This is the best thing for Zach Wilson, right?
But it's the Jets.
Right.
That's why no one's talking about it.
Right, but if it wasn't if there wasn't so much Trey Lance controversy and Fields falling to a team like the Bears, we would hear him a lot more than we are about Zach Wilson. He's for a 2nd-round pick in New York. I mean, for a second overall pick in New York, we don't. There was more buzz about Daniel Jones.
Well, but
in that offseason.
Yeah, but there was more buzz about Daniel Jones because nobody thought Daniel Jones was or should have been the pick there.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I there's no and this plays right into Zach Wilson's favor.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying I don't like Daniel Jones. I do like Daniel Jones, but at that time, I mean, that was a Dave Gettleman. He was pulling the pins on all the grenades and letting it just go. When he took Daniel Jones. I mean, set Twitter and sports media here in New York ablaze. So there you go. All right. Are we finally ready to get into some bus?
Yes, we are. And what I want to do as we are segueing here, I'm going to open up. We did a group article over at fffaceoff.com last week. These are going to come out weekly. I forget what this week's topic was. I had some personal things I was dealing with this week, so I didn't contribute this time. But I do want to show you the website. I want to show you this article on Fantasy Football Bus from last week. So let's pull this right up right now.
All right.
And we have you. There's the websites up there.
All right. Must look incredible. Okay. But yeah, no, seriously, the website's been awesome. Sharon has been doing a ton of work on this website for us.
We need Shill and SFB 11.
Yeah, we gotta. You guys need to drop some love to Scott Fish there on Twitter and say Aaron Schill needs to be in, SFB 11. That's got to happen for the work he's done here on this site for us. It's been work me and Anthony could have never done. So the FF Faceoff would not be the FFFaceoff.com without him. So there you go. With that being said, as Anthony puts a website out there, floats through the Sleepers article, which again you can check out at FFFaceoff.com. Might be the second to last time I say in the show, I promise. FFFaceoff.com. Michael Thomas is our first player that we will mention as a bust. Listen, Clayton's, I tell you, he finished 97th among wide receivers in half-point formats, but I need to include in that he did only play in 7 games. So, here's the deal, Anthony. We're talking about a player finished 7th in 2016. Right. This is all half-point. Finished 7th in 2016, finished 6th in 2017, 6th in 2018, obviously 1st in 2019 in that season in which he was loaded with targets. He's not going to see those kinds of targets, though, anymore. And a majority of those games were all with Drew Brees, unless there was an injury of some kind. Anthony, I think that it has to be expected that there's going to be some regression from a player who's going to be playing without a Hall of Fame quarterback for the first time. Right now he's slated to go 3rd overall in the 3rd round, so he's more pricey than Julio Jones. How would you feel about Michael Thomas as your first wide receiver?
It's hard to call Michael Thomas a bust. I would consider him more of an undervalued player. I just don't have a good feeling about him returning 3rd round draft capital in PPR. He's extremely overvalued. He's extremely target dependent, and I think on a show last week with you, I went over his yards per catch average and his career years versus Julio Jones, and it's obviously if we're talking about these players going around the same ADP, give me the player who's the better all around receiver, even though the volume might be there, versus the player who's clearly the inferior receiver in Michael Thomas on an offense which no longer is guaranteeing him the volume he once got without Drew Brees. Now, the good thing, because I try to give every side of the picture on this article at FFFaceoff.com, this group staff article, I wrote out Michael Thomas. And we know that last season, not only is he capable of producing sans Drew Brees, but he's able to produce with Taysom Hill. Now, in his career, Michael Thomas played 10 games without Brees, 77 of 96 for 923 and 3 touchdowns. In 4 of those games, again, was with Taysom Hill last season. And I believe Taysom Hill is going to ultimately be the starter. Now, in all 4 of those games, Thomas had 8+ receptions and 84+ yards, including 2 games with just over 100 yards. He did not have a touchdown in that 4-game period, despite averaging 16.1 fantasy points per game in PPR. Now, can he do that for a full 17-game stretch? Can he get you 85+ yards a game? He's not scoring touchdowns. We're asking a lot from Michael Thomas. This is an offense that, if it's Taysom Hill, they're going to run. And they're going to run a lot.
Yeah. Just don't forget, they have that guy named Alvin Kamara sitting there in their backfield as well. Oh. And by the way, there was a little misprint on my ADP I put up. It wasn't 3rd pick of 3rd round. It's actually 12th pick of the 2nd round. So final pick of the 2nd round. Listen, if I'm looking at fantasyfootballcalculator.com, and I mentioned this on Monday's show, I'll mention it again on today's show. Always know that average draft position is like an ever fluctuating thing. It goes up, it goes down. There's not drastic ups and downs, but there are ups and downs that might make a player. Because keep in mind, when we say bust, some people will just assume that means that we're saying that they suck, which is not true. They do not suck. They are more talented than we could ever dream. What we're saying is that their average draft cost is not something that we're comfortable spending. That's a bust by definition. At least that's how I would say it. But Anthony, if I'm looking at that, I'd rather just go get Justin Jefferson instead.
You're sharing a brain, Mike. How about Keenan Allen in that projected high volume, path to high volume from Justin Herbert in that Chargers offense? You have A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley. Give me all those guys. If any of them fall over Michael Thomas easily. Like, it's not even a question.
What kind of, I know you were mentioning a lot of his numbers, but where would you think Michael Thomas targets would be this year, right? I mean, this is a guy, 121 his rookie year, 149, 147, then the crazy 185. And last year, again, 7 games, 55 targets, but 7 games. So, can't really take that into account. 100-plus targets, but less than 130, right? Like, what do we...
Well, 2019, 886 and 16, 11.6 per game. Last year, 55 and 7, 7.9 targets per game. Let's say he gets you like that 8 to 9 range. That's maybe what I expect from Michael Thomas. And that's fair. They're still going to throw the football, and he is still going to be the number one option. But I don't see those big, those targets. Like, okay, so in those, what is that, week 12, 13, and 14, with Taysom Hill, I think it was week 11 where it started. He had 12, 6, 11, 8. Like, it's going to be that inconsistent.
All right. There you go. So we're going to list Michael Thomas as a bust for now. No hard feelings. It is what it is. Strict to business. All right. Let's get into the next player. This is a player I had told you guys about last season, and I beat the drum for this player last season. I was yelled at by Anthony and all of you on Twitter because I said Josh Jacobs would beat out Miles Sanders. He did. I won that. Now all the Miles Sanders supporters come out. Well, he was hurt. He wasn't used enough. Whatever. Excuses. Tomato, tomato. You guys lost. Anyway, so you guys were 1 year too early on saying Josh Jacobs would bust. Now I'm inviting you. Come the other way. Don't get confused. Keep your head on a swivel. Follow me the other way, because now I'm saying Josh Jacobs is going to be a bust. He is currently a player who is slated 3rd pick of the 3rd round, and I do not like that selection. I do not like that at all. Behind him, you got guys like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You have Miles Sanders, who I think, you guys use this as an excuse for Miles Sanders, but I truly believe this. I think he's going to get more usage than he did last season. When you look at those numbers from Doug Peterson's finale there, Chris Carson, very solid back. David Montgomery, I still think he's a solid back, even though I think we see him go back a little bit. But I think the drop will be farther for Josh Jacobs. There's something going on in Las Vegas. There's always... I feel like Anthony sometimes, obviously, yes, news is reported, rumors are reported, but sometimes a statement is made by a roster move to let you know something don't seem right. Something is off in Vegas. When they go ahead and bring in Kenyon Drake, that's not like we're bringing in Gus Edwards. That's not like we're bringing in whatever. We're bringing in Kenyon Drake. To me, something's up. I don't know if they're getting a little tired of Josh Jacobs, some off-the-field stuff. Anthony, what do you are you with me here? Are you worried about potential usage for Josh Jacobs? I mean, this is a guy last year, half-point formats. I had to pull this up. Give me a hot second. Half-point formats, Josh Jacobs was your 8th best running back in fantasy. One of 8 backs with over 200 fantasy points in half-point formats. I'm out now, Anthony. Are you joining me? Are you out on Josh Jacobs?
Yeah, I'm out on Josh Jacobs. And, if we look at the ADP and look who's going around Josh Jacobs, am I crazy to think I want to play it safe? Get Chris Carson, David Montgomery, who looked the part in the second half of the year, and he's probably getting a quarterback upgrade at some time. Miles Sanders, then we have the R2 guys from last year back to back. But even in front of them, I'll hope Dobbins or DeAndre Swift falls or pivot and take a wide receiver. I'm not going to put a lot of stock into Josh Jacobs in the 3rd round, because if I'm taking now, granted, if I go running back, and he's my 3rd running back, If I go receiver running back and he's my second running back in that situation, but if he's my first, hell no. And even his second running back I don't feel
I don't like
that
it either.
Comfortable with it.
So the only way we're comfortable with Josh Jacobs at this given point with his ADP, and I think Anthony, you're with me on this because you basically just said so. If we're going ballsy heavy on running back, we go running back. We're all right with Josh Jacobs being our third running back.
Yes,
right,
but not so much.
But second, no.
Like last year it was people's
we need
first.
To stop the draft and have a conversation. What's that?
Last year, people were taking him as their bell cow.
Right.
Back of the first round.
He produced though. Again, finished 8th, had 273 carries. I don't think we're seeing 273 carries this year. Absolutely not. So, and he's a guy, 12 rushing touchdowns, no touchdowns on the receiving end. Did have 33 catches, said he wanted to have a lot more, but he did wind up with 33 catches, 45 targets. I just don't think we see the carry number there. So you have to have the touchdowns be there and then some. And I don't see it.
Yeah, so it's hard to trust that whole situation in Las Vegas is terrible. There's definitely an inferiority complex with that team and coaching and front office decisions.
You hate it. Just come out and say it. Just
what?
Like John Gruden. You hate John Gruden.
I think he's a nice guy. I think his quarterback club on ESPN, what he used to do when guys were rookies. I thought that was a nice show. I thought he's a great personality, but
so what's the problem?
His second half in-game decision-making and his off-season decision-making is my problem with John Gruden.
Well, he's got a GM, right? Or you think he's a little too much in that GM's ear?
I think he's too. Even Mayock. Mayock's a TV personality.
Oh, you leave Mayock alone. Don't you besmirch
the
Mayock.
Raiders, hold on. They put their future. This dawned on me.
Yes.
They put their future in 2 TV personality football analysts.
Well, it's Vegas, baby.
I know that Gruden won something, but he's been out of off the sideline for how. It's like, what are you doing?
People could also make the argument that
I don't even know. I don't know if Al Davis even does that.
I mean, did John Gruden win that Super Bowl off of Tony Dungy's hard work?
Yep.
Something to think about.
That was Dungy's defense.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. There you go. That ran roughshod over the Raiders in the Super Bowl. So there you go. All right. Next running back. Actually,
we have a question.
I was going to say, I thought I noticed that. You said that's a good question. We'll get to it. So what is the good question?
We have M or Math Quest or M4THQU3ST.
You got to work on that name, man.
Galladay now joins an absolutely crowded offense with a lot of mouths to feed. Unless you're buying into Daniel Jones taking a massive step forward, will Kenny Galladay be a bust?
Well, where's Kenny Galladay currently sitting? I mean, Kenny Galladay is currently sitting first pick of the 5th round. I mean, you're asking Kenny Galladay at that point, you would imagine, if you're drafting there.
Oh, I like it, actually.
He could. I like that. I don't know, because you're talking about Kenny Galladay being your second wide receiver,
Even my first. Imagine having a team, you're going in the 5th round, and you have like 3 running backs, Kelsey, and you go get Kenny Galladay, or 2 running backs, let's say quarterback run early, you end up with like Josh Allen or Dak, and then Galladay's your wide receiver 1 in the 5th round. I don't mind that.
Right.
I think the issue with Kenny Galladay to me is that he was the heir apparent. He was next in line to Calvin Johnson.
Right. Next in line to, which Calvin Johnsons don't grow on trees, guys. He's one of those players. He's like a Jerry Rice. It just doesn't happen every day. He's like a Randy Moss. I mean,
Calvin Johnson was 6'5", 236. Kenny Galladay, 6'4", 214. So not as thick, but like you see a tall receiver. Right. Oh, well, Calvin can do it. No.
Right. And Calvin wore the same jersey as him,
damn it.
so it must be. Yeah, it must be. So, yeah, it doesn't always happen like that. But, Anthony, I'm just saying, however your first 3 picks shape up, whatever. You're talking about back end of the 4th, beginning of the 5th. You can do like a Adam Thielen and a Kenny Galladay. You could do a Robert Woods and a Kenny Galladay.
Yeah,
I don't want to mention CeeDee Lamb because I think CeeDee Lamb would go before that.
Adam Thielen and Kenny Galladay. You take Adam Thielen.
Why are you so stupid about Adam Thielen? I don't understand. Is Adam Thielen good for fantasy? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, then watch your mouth. You wouldn't want him as your second wide receiver?
Maybe. I'll take Galladay over Thielen.
Maybe.
I'll take Galladay.
Oh, I'll take Thielen. Yeah, I'll take a wide receiver who's been producing for fantasy for years and years and years. I'll take him, I guess.
How about Ayuk?
That's like
or
saying
Thielen?
I guess I'll have
Brandon Ayuk or Thielen?
Is it a PPR?
It's always PP.
If it's PPR, I'd rather have Thielen. When you're talking to a San Francisco 49er diehard.
In fantasy football?
Yep.
All right.
I get it. He's not the coolest guy in the world. It's not like, hey, I'm, showing up with snap bracelets and Jenko jeans back in the 90s. I get it. He's not cool, but
snap bracelet.
He's Adam Thielen. He
about
produces.
Pogs?
People have this problem with players that are consistent, but they're not flashy. Like, people always hated Frank Gore. People always hate Adam Thielen. It's the same thing. It's just, oh, he stinks. Why does he stink? Why? Tell me why. Because he's not cool? That's why. He's not as flashy. Oh, stop it. And when he's not getting double-digit touchdowns, he's getting 100-plus targets. And that ain't going to change. The double-digit touchdowns will. But the 100 targets probably happen again.
Who sees more targets, Ayuk or Thielen?
Thielen.
Oh. All right.
Because the Niners' offense will spread the ball around more. I think the Vikings' offense, you're looking at Dalvin Cook, you're looking at Justin Jefferson, you're looking at Adam Thielen. You want to mention to me there's other players in the depth chart, so you're thinking that I'm not paying attention? You can mention them. It's fine. But I don't think they'll hold a candle to these other 3 players as far as, getting touches in that offense.
Ayuk was pacing.
Yes, that includes Irv Smith.
Ayuk was pacing 129.6 targets if he played in 16 at his 8.1 per game target pace.
Yeah, I am incorporating in that. I'm incorporating spreading the ball around. I'm incorporating potential injuries. There's things I'm weighing into that. I'm not saying that it's Adam Thielen by a landslide. Like I don't even think I'd take a bet on it. But I'm just saying, if you want me to pick one that I think will perform better for fantasy consistently, I think I'd take Thielen.
So
in PPR.
Galladay, we in, we out. I think I'm buying Kenny Galladay.
At his current price right now, in the 5th round, first pick of the 5th round, or early 5th, even if he goes up a little bit, fine, back in 4th.
I mean, to be fair, Daniel Jones has never had a receiver like Kenny Galladay. I'm not saying Kenny Galladay's Calvin Johnson, but when your top receivers
are a receiver than he's ever had.
People, fantasy Twitter, you all were talking up Darius Slayton last year like he was a good thing for Daniel Jones, like he was going to put Daniel Jones over the top. How about Sterling Shepard? Never had 1,000-yard receiving. Golden Tate, not there anymore. Didn't do anything last year. But again, that's what you had with Daniel Jones. Now that he has a loaded team around him, he has an alpha receiver. Now it's put up or shut up, Daniel.
Right, which we've said. But we're still taking Kenny Galladay at his price. We're not considering him to be a bust.
Yeah.
So, okay. Good question, though. All right, let's get into the next, but work on your username, whoever that was. Next player we have is a bust candidate. I'm rolling it out there, J.K. Dobbins with the Ravens. He is currently the last pick of the 2nd round in half-point formats. Finished 21st last year, only 24 targets last year. I don't see that going up tremendously. I mean, here's my deal with J.K. Dobbins. And again, this is what I can't stand is like if I'm saying I don't think that he's going to produce for his cost, people just think, well, you must hate J.K. Dobbins or you must think he's not good at football. It's not at all true. I think he's actually pretty darn good. I think the problem is you look at a history of Baltimore running backs. I've been saying on this show forever. You look back to 2016 or so. There aren't many instances in which a Baltimore Ravens running back is getting 200 plus touches, and if it is 200 plus touches, it's like. It's not hitting. It's not like 230. It's not like 240. It's more like 212 or something to that extent. It's low end. You go to Mark Ingram a couple of years ago, but Mark Ingram had a lot of touchdowns that year too. You want to bank on over 200 touches, which doesn't always happen. And I'm talking about carries. I'm talking about over 200 carries, which doesn't always happen. Then you want to get the yards. Then you want to get the touchdowns. I don't envision all of this happening. And I don't know what Anthony just did, but he said, "Oops."
Yeah, I accidentally played a commercial.
Nice,
but for 4 seconds.
Was it a good commercial?
No, it was our standby.
Oh, that sucks.
But
okay, anyway,
we're here. We're good.
So listen, I don't envision J.K. Dobbins in that offense being a running back who's going to go from. You're basically asking him to be a top 12 running back, and I don't have him ranked there. I can't put him there. I'm not doing it. So I think that by price tag, he is considered a bust. Anthony, are you coming out on this ledge with me, or are you ready to just kick me in the ass and point and laugh at me?
Listen, I can see it going both ways for and against J.K. Dobbins. The ADP is pretty damn high. All things considered. Where is J.K. Dobbins sitting right now? He's sitting on the
second round.
Yeah, 12th pick of the second in PPR, second pick of the third, but lingering around there and sitting right behind him is DeAndre Swift. And we talked about the Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, and the guys behind him. But J.K. Dobbins is that last, I think I'd rather have Dobbins over Jacobs and I can make case for Miles Sanders, but would I rather have Dobbins over Montgomery? That's where it gets shaky. But I would certainly take DeAndre Swift over J.K. Dobbins. Now, what throws a monkey wrench on either side, and I know I make a joke, but the fact that if Todd Gurley goes to either Baltimore or Detroit, which is he's been linked to both teams, I think that affects Dobbins more than it does Swift. I think Swift will be the guy, and he'll cede some touches to Jamal Williams. But, if Baltimore ends up bringing in Gurley, I could see a goal line usage pack for Todd Gurley a lot because we know what does Todd Gurley do really well. He has a nose for the end zone despite having the knees.
Right. You don't need the knees to do a ton of work out there.
But, we can't.
When you're in the goal line there.
Gloss over the fact that, we hear the reports. We want to get J.K. Dobbins for action in the passing game. Obviously, down the stretch last year, not like he was heavily targeted at all, but from weeks 13 to week 17, he had 1 reception, 2 targets in that 5-game stretch. He's actually in that 5-game stretch. He's had more touchdowns than targets. He doubled, almost tripled.
Yeah.
He had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touchdowns, 2 targets, 1 reception. If we go back to week 11, 7 touchdowns in his last 6 games.
By the way, if when we're talking hypotheticals here, but he is still out there, so he's still worth discussing. Todd Gurley, if he does wind up there, if he does get goal line carries, like Anthony's saying, listen, goal line carries were 20-yard line. I'm looking at red zone. They were close last year. J.K. Dobbins had 28 attempts. He had 8 touchdowns. Gus Edwards had 26 attempts and 6 touchdowns. So it's not like he has it all to himself. And oh, by the way, there's Lamar Jackson there. So I worry a little bit about Gus Edwards being able to cash in on touchdowns to recreate touchdowns.
And let's not forget Gus Edwards, who they re-signed him. Gus Edwards, in 3 years, 3-year career, 144 carries, 133, 137, but he's averaged north of 5 yards per carry for his career. He's effective, and he's not going anywhere. So yeah, he's definitely going to cut it. Now he's an empty as a receiver. I do think J.K. Dobbins will ultimately lead that backfield in receptions and targets when it's all said and done. But how high can J.K. Dobbins' ceiling be? Now I do want to note that while the Baltimore Ravens added wide receiver help, they bolstered that offensive line, especially on the interior, which does tell me they're not going to shy off what they do best. They're not all of a sudden going to make Lamar Jackson into Josh Allen. Like, this is going to be a running team. But it doesn't mean that J.K. Dobbins can't bust out in this offense. I mean, look what Mark Ingram did. What was it? The first year Lamar Jackson really broke out. Like, Ingram was the was the primary back, and he was really good fantasy back.
That was the one time he had over that. Basically, that was precisely correct. That's what the J.K. Dobbins owner has to hope to recreate is Mark Ingram from that year. Had over 200 touchdowns, had over 200 carries. Had the touchdowns. That's what you're looking for. You go back and look at that year. I'll pull that up right now. What was that 2018 for
2019?
2019.
He goes 202 for 1018, 10 total touchdowns, 4 100-yard games, 5 yards per carry. Then he catches 26 and 29 for 247 and 5. Mark Ingram had 15 total touchdowns in 2019 in this offense.
Right. That's not happening. J.K. Dobbins ain't getting 15 touchdowns.
Wow.
It's not happening.
Ooh, I think we're going to have it.
What? Listen, that's why I
What's your over-under?
I mean, I could see 12, 13, maybe.
See, that's not fair.
What? I'm sorry. I just said he's not getting 15. What is not 15? 12, 13, 14? I mean, not 14. That's whatever. 12, 13.
So 12 and a half over under.
I'll be ballsy and take the under for the hell of it. Because I feel like I got to
sit on this one.
I win too many bets.
Right now.
So I
but,
feel like
Dobbins had 9 last year total.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And by the way, when I mentioned the carries at the top, talking about Baltimore running backs to get over 200 carries, 202. Like, again, it's low-end 200s. It's not, So if anybody thinks Dobbins is going to walk in there and get, 240, you're, sadly mistaken. So, and I don't see the targets coming enough. So he's got to get those touchdowns. That's what you have to get for Dobbins.
Julie is saying
about a lot of players, but whatever.
Julie is in the chat saying that we're splitting hairs with Jacobs, Dobbins, Swift, Montgomery. They're all going back to back. There's no bust when they're bunched up together. Well, Eric, it's how they finish.
That's how it is. Yeah. I don't think Montgomery's going to be a bust. I'm okay with him.
And this is bust candidates.
Right. Splitting hairs. You're splitting hairs, Julia. That comment. Thank you for your participation. No, I'm not buying into it. And you know what, Julia? I'll give you one more running back as a bust candidate. It's something that's going to piss people off big time. It did last year when I made any kind of comment. One time I misspoke in a tweet. Some guy followed me for weeks about it. And I couldn't be like, I misspoke in the tweet because they'd be like, oh, you're just backing off your take because I literally did have a typo. But whatever. But Cam Akers. Let's discuss the Rams offense a little bit, Anthony. Cam Akers is currently, I believe, he is also back end of the second round. Let me see. Where are you? Cam! Where are you, Cam? Oh, no. He's early first round. He's first pick of the second round. First pick of the second round, Cam Akers. That, for me, is too much love. That is too much love. Can't do it. Won't do it. Players around him, Austin Eckler, Antonio Gibson. I know it's a dirty word, but Joe Mixon's there. Listen, is Cam Akers going to have – Cam Akers is going to have games where the Cam Akers supporter is going to hit me up on Twitter and be like, see, I told you so. Told you he was good, idiot. But he's going to have a lot of weeks in between that in between those games where people are hunting me down on Twitter, he's going to have a bunch of games where it's going to be like, well, like what happened there? I guess the game got away from Akers. I guess they decided to throw the ball a lot. I mean, let's not forget. I know Anthony gets very touchy when we talk about Matthew Stafford. Not even going any kind of extremes here. Just Sean McVay now has a quarterback that he feels like he could trust. We know that he had some trust issues with Jared Goff. Otherwise, Jared Goff would still be there. They wouldn't have facilitated the trade. They wouldn't have tried to get Matthew Stafford like they did. He now has a quarterback that he is more comfortable with executing his offense. Now, I'm not saying that means that we're never going to see a run play ever again. Not to mention Cam Akers can also produce in the passing game. He did show that late in the season. I just don't think he's going to get consistent enough usage on a week-to-week basis to be able to warrant a selection this high. Anthony, we always say your first 2 picks, that's like your mission statement of your team. That's what your fantasy team is. I mean, and I'll say the last thing before I kick it to you, Anthony. I know everybody laughs at Todd Gurley now because he's got the bad knees and, But remember when Todd Gurley was like legit before the knees happened? And he was a piece in that Sean McVay offense. That's basically what you're asking Cam Akers to be. Can you trust Cam Akers to be that Todd Gurley? Not the Todd Gurley that we all mock, who's currently looking for a job. And it's, and we're on the threshold of July and he's still not employed.
Now,
what do you say?
I mean, we're talking about Todd Gurley. Can he be that Todd Gurley where Todd Gurley was the number 1 producing fantasy football player for a few years? And I'm looking at, and granted, Cam Akers was banged up, only played in 11 games compared to Henderson's 15. But when I look here, Henderson popped for more games over 19 fantasy points, including 2 in the 20s. So there's 3 there.
Right.
And what do we have from Cam Akers? We have 1. There's 1.
Oh.
And then the other
Probably
double,
one,
and the rest were all fewer than 16.4, and he only had 4 games in the double digits, and they all came down the stretch when they were finally using them. But I don't know, but it's like, instead of, we're worried about the next Todd Gurley, how about match Darrell Henderson?
Right.
And let's not forget, I know Darrell Henderson was kind of, schemed out of it, whatever you want to call it, down the stretch last season. But they were using a true hot hand approach. Malcolm Brown popped for a few 20-plus games. Then we saw Darrell Henderson. And at the end of the year, Cam Akers was the hot hand.
Is Cam Akers getting 223 attempts and 49 targets? Because that's Todd Gurley when he was on his bad knees in 2019. When it was the everything's fine here, nothing to worry about. Next year he's gone. But Sean McVay, you're like a very handsome used car salesman.
I could see. Listen, Cam Akers is going to lead this backfield.
Yes,
I just don't know if Darrell Henderson's going to go away kicking and screaming or without kicking and screaming. We also know that Cam Akers, he's a rookie, and you're not going to punt a guy because he's a little bit, but he missed a couple of games with ribs, and he had the high ankle sprain at the end of the year. It's not a good look with these little lingering injuries. Are you that type of running back where you're missing chunks of time? He's a rookie. We don't know, but there's a lot of. But let me spin it this way. Let me spin it this way.
And I'll let you, but to have to ask those questions and to not have a specific, confident answer, and you're taking him at the top of the second round, that's a problem for me.
Let me spin it this way.
Spin away.
Cam Akers, he's hot. Gets banged up, misses 1 game. Darrell Henderson goes for 150 and 2. You're not, and we know McVay will go with Darrell Henderson again. So it's basically, can Cam Akers not only produce, but can he keep Darrell Henderson off the field? Because we know Henderson can pop when he's healthy.
Right. And again, there'll be weeks in which he will do that. He'll keep him off the field, and those guys will look for my account and they'll be like, "Look, I told you he was great." But
when I look, and we'll wrap up with, because I know we're on a time, we're getting to the hour here, so we'll wrap up with this one. But give me Antonio Gibson, because you know what Washington doesn't have behind Antonio Gibson? Another capable back like Antonio Gibson, where it's guess what? They have a McKissick, but McKissick can't do it all. We know what McKissick is. We know that Henderson's capable of doing everything.
And like you referenced on Monday's show, and a little bit on today's show, Washington's offensive line is a hell of a lot better than the Rams' offensive line.
Yes.
So Cam Akers is a bust.
And I also think that Sean McVay wants to listen. If you want to be a running team, you know that Jared Goff could get a running team into the playoffs. He did that last year.
Right.
Run the team, play defense. Run the ball, play defense. You make this trade to bring in Matthew Stafford because Sean McVay wants to air the football out like he did the year they got to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And I know Gurley played a big role, but he also caught a lot of passes that year too.
Right. And Sean McVay wasn't comfortable doing that with Jared Goff anymore, which is fine. Jared Goff will be fine for what he's going to be asked to do in Detroit. But so I don't know. I don't like that price. It's all about price.
No, absolutely. No, absolutely.
I'm sure Cam Akers will listen. DFS, use him in a good matchup when he's a hot hand. Best ball, obviously, he's gonna pop for you. But if you're asking and being a redraft league consistently, and he's one of my first 2 picks, I'm not doing it. He will not be my first 2 picks on any team. No. Guaranteed.
Nope. I'd rather give me Gibson instead. Or let me wait around. I'll get a receiver there. I'll wait around and go get Swift.
If you find out that I'm rostering Cam Akers, ask me where I drafted him. I guarantee you it will not be the first or second round. Won't happen. Sorry, not sorry. Anthony, anything to say? Because people get very touchy when you talk about busts, especially when you talk about high-end busts like this. But, Anthony, anything to say before we ride off into the sunset on this Friday?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're listening right now in podcast format, leave us, especially on Apple, leave us a 5-star rating, write a nice little review about us. Go check out fffaceoff.com. We have a lot of great things going on. We're preparing for the Podathon that's coming up in a few weeks. We have a lot going on. But most importantly, we're almost to week 1. Like, it's going to be here before you know it. So if you're listening right now, make sure you come back. We're going to be, coming 3-4 times a week, all different combinations of hosts. We're going to be putting out a lot of content here, written, audio, video, you name it. We're going to be doing it, getting ready for this season. We want to win fantasy championships. We want to win money in DFS. We want to crush sports betting. We want to just talk general NFL. We're going to do it all here. We do it all.
Damn straight. That's what we advertise. That's what we do. That's how we roll. So there you go. All right. So that will do it.
Fantasy football prostitution.
You always have a very weird way of but sure, if you guys are able to digest that and take that for what Anthony's saying, have at it. So there you go. Which is, I'm sure has been said in the back of a car before. So there you go. All right, so that'll do it for today's show. So I will tell you guys as we ride off into the sunset, I will tell you to stay thirsty, be kind to one another. I guess unless it's a business that wants you to still wear a mask, then you should wear the mask. But otherwise, throw the mask away. Have a party. Woohoo. All right. And we'll talk to you next time. Cheers.
This is Seth Payne, and you've probably heard me talk about New Brakes mobile brake repair service before, but maybe you've been putting it off. Hey, summer is here, and if you're like me, you've got a trip or 2 planned. Don't risk your loved one's safety. Do yourself a favor and get your brakes inspected before hitting the open road. NewBrakes.com is straightforward and convenient. Just go to NUBrakes.com to get a quote, book an appointment as early as today, and tell them Seth Payne sent you for an extra 10% off any repairs. That's NUBrakes.com.
Your AC works overtime all summer, so be sure to replace your old air filters with new Filtry air filters. They recommend updating HVAC filters at least every 3 months all year round. So order your Filtry air filters today at Filtry.com. Let's clear the air.